Hey everybody, it's Kaden again. Thank you so much to everybody that watched the last video I made. I got some great feedback and some positive reviews, and that just makes my heart happy because like I said in the last video, I just want to be a resource and I want to help whoever I can, and if I can help at least one person, then all of this is really worth it to me. So thank you so much to everybody that engaged and participated. If you have any suggestions, any questions, shoot them my way. I would love to hear them. There are lots of topics to talk about, and if there's one in particular that interests you or you want to hear more about, just let me know and I'll do something about it. I did get a really good question from my best friend Robin. Ooh, got a hair in my face here, hold on. Okay, we're back. I got a really good question from my best friend Robin, and it kind of takes us into a serious topic that there's a lot to say about it, but I'm going to try to get down and do the quick and dirty in the answer to this question. It's a very, very important one and something that a lot of people face, especially young people. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to read you the question that she had because I think that she said it well, so I'm just going to read it to you. She said, what would you say to the child that thinks or even knows that his or her family will disown them if they come out, whether it's gay, lesbian, or trans? I think that you might have touched on this already, but I would love to know what your advice is for the young kids who are feeling so alone. My heart aches for those who have to pretend to be someone they aren't for fear of banishment. And my heart also aches for kids who are afraid of that and afraid of being disowned. So you're absolutely right, Robin, that this is an issue that a lot of young people face. Even when they're coming out later in life, it's an issue that lots of people face. So I guess we're gonna get into the seriousness of this. So coming out is a big deal and it's really exciting. I remember when I came out as a lesbian, I was terrified, and then when I came out as trans, I was also terrified, but it's a really exciting time to express yourself and feel free and feel like you can live as your authentic self. That's a really important, it's a value that I think everyone should have. You should strive to live as your authentic self, unless your authentic self means you're a complete a-hole, in which case don't do that, but I'm not talking about you. It takes a lot of courage to come out, and I think a lot of people know this already. It takes a lot of courage. There's a lot of fear behind it. So once you work up the courage to actually come out and tell people, it can be pretty scary. My hope is for everyone to have, a welcoming family and to have a good support system within that, and with friends. I hope that everyone has that. But the reality that we face is that that's not always true. Not everyone is supportive, and some people live in some pretty unsupportive environments, and that makes my heart hurt a lot. We're gonna persevere. We have to persevere. There have been many LGBTQ plus people who have come before us, and we're just continuing the work of all those people who have come out before us and who have done this work, laid the groundwork for us to be able to come out and for me to live as my authentic self. There are tons of trans people that came before me that made it possible for me to be here and exist as I am today, and it's our job to continue that work so that future generations maybe don't even have to deal with coming out. Maybe that's the goal. We don't want to have to come out. We just want to be. So that's why I'm doing this. I had a therapist who told me, let people surprise you because it might just be a good thing. And honestly, that was something that I hadn't really thought of before, because I was just expecting everyone to react so poorly to me coming out that I hadn't stopped to think that maybe they would be really positive about it, because that's also a possibility. But we also have to think realistically. Like, if you have a family member that has a history of, not being accepting of these things, or friends that aren't accepting of these things, then, we have to be realistic about those situations. This is a difficult topic to tackle, and unfortunately there's no one-size-fits-all solution to coming out and making sure that it's safe. So that's really what I want to talk about today, is the safety of the whole thing. So first, I would recommend when you're coming out to assess the situation. Who am I coming out to? What has their reaction been in the past regarding, the LGBTQ community? Have they said hateful things? Have they been supportive of that? Just little things that you pick up. I think that you can get a general sense of how someone feels about the LGBTQ community if you pay attention to their words and their actions when the topic comes up. It's really important to note or to consider, will their reaction be verbal or will it be physical? And I'm talking mostly about if it's a negative reaction here. Is it going to be negative in a verbal way where it's going to be, emotionally hurtful or abusive? Or is physical harm something that you need to be concerned about? I hope that that's not the case, but it's a reality that we have to consider that as a possibility. The second thing that you need to do after assessing the situation is to check the facts. And this is something that I've learned in DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT. And I'll talk more about that in a different video, but I have found that to be very, very helpful. It's a subgroup of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, but DBT has been more helpful for me. So anyway, checking the facts is a big part of DBT. Basically, you think about the scenario that is likely to happen. Consider it in your mind. You should describe it, and you should think about all the things that could possibly happen. How is the conversation gonna go? Where is the conversation going to happen? Is it a good idea for this conversation to happen in private at my house, or is it a good idea to do it somewhere a little more public? Maybe not like out in the middle of everyone, in the middle of a restaurant or something, but is it a good idea to have it somewhere public so that things can't get as out of control as if you were in a private space, like a private home, by yourself with this person, in a dangerous situation? And then list the likely outcomes of the situation, and then review them for accuracy and validity. And what I mean by that is, are your perceptions of the situation being fueled by your emotions? Am I thinking about this in an extreme way because I'm fearful? It might be realistic that you're emotionally charged, and basically you have to consider how your emotions are influencing the situation. Are your emotions causing the scenarios in your head to be extreme, and that's not necessarily an accurate representation of how it would go in real life? Or is it completely valid and the worst case scenario may happen? That's up to you and your specific situation to decide. Third, am I safe? You have to consider your safety. That is paramount to this whole situation. So now that you've thought realistically about what's going to happen, you have to think about, am I going to be physically harmed? Am I emotionally strong enough to handle any emotional abuse that may come my way? Am I strong enough to handle what may be said to me? And I'm not talking about strong as in character. I mean from like a safety perspective. Are you going to be able to handle the emotionally hard things to hear if they happen? You have to be prepared for people to say hurtful, hateful things in the moment. We've all been there. We've all been way too angry, way too sad. We've all said things out of fear and anger that we didn't mean, but we said it in the moment because our emotions took over. So you have to be prepared for people to react that way. And maybe they won't. This is why it's not a one-size-fits-all. You have to consider your specific situation. How have people acted in the past? If no one's ever said anything hateful and has been supportive of the LGBTQ community, then maybe that's not even something you have to worry about. And then lastly, create a safety plan. Let a trusted family member or a friend know when and where you're going to be having this conversation. Maybe you even want them to come with you. In some cases, you may want to pack a bag before you have the conversation so that if things go poorly, you can go somewhere and stay for a few days. Set that up beforehand. You definitely want to have somewhere to go if things go poorly, and you don't want to have to be packing your things up when you're in an emotional state. You just want to be able to end the conversation, break it off, and leave for a couple of days. Let things cool off, let the dust settle back down before you reapproach the situation. And these are all things for safety reasons. Like I said, your safety is number one. Of course, if you are feeling like you are in a life-threatening or dangerous situation, always call 911. Don't mess around with it. Your life is important. Your physical well-being is important. Your mental well-being is important. Please don't take any chances. If things get bad, please call 911. And if that is the case, get away from where you're at and go to a public place. Make sure there are people around. And like I'm saying, this is like an extreme situation, but these are things that have to be considered for some people, so I wanted to talk about it. By no means, okay, so that's my little rant about it. By no means am I trying to scare anyone or tell you not to come out and live as your authentic self, because that's absolutely not the case. I want everyone to come out and be able to live authentically. I just want to be able to be realistic about the situation and make sure that people are safe. It depends on your particular situation. There are different factors that go into everyone's story, everyone's family, everyone's relationships. So this advice may not, pertain to you per se. But coming out should be a really joyous time. And you have an entire community behind you that will be so excited that you came out. It's wonderful. I can't think of anything better than living as your authentic self. Social media is a huge tool. You can connect with people from all over the world on social media. And I don't mean that in be friends with everyone on social media or, trust everyone. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying the LGBTQ community is so large. There are so many people that are out there to support you and love you and talk to you and, may have gone through something very similar to what you have gone through. But my message to you specifically is you're loved, you're supported, you're valuable, you deserve to live as your authentic self, and I hope that coming out goes really well for you. And if it doesn't, you have an entire community to fall back on. You just have to reach out and have one of us help you, because there are tons of people in the community that are just sitting there willing to help. I know that not everyone wants to be engaged like that, but it's a really supportive community, and social media has been a really, really big saving grace in that way. So I'll just end by saying that I hope coming out is a really happy time for you. I really hope that you don't have dangerous situations to be concerned about. I just wish you the best. And if anyone has any suggestions or wants to talk about, their coming out story, feel free to share. Send me a message on Instagram. I'd love to hear it. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, please engage and, voice it. Let's all talk and collaborate together. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time.